Today, there was a bombing in Syria that killed the defense minister, who also happens to be Assad's brother-in-law. This appears to have been a decapitation strike, where you take out the leadership of the country that you wish to invade. Now, the original reports were saying it was a suicide bomber. There was nothing to support that. You have a big, huge bang. How do you know it's not an American drone strike? And then later on, the leader of what they're calling the opposition forces, but it's a mercenary army is basically what it is. It's invasion for hire, came out and took credit for the attack. So they've backed off saying it was a suicide bomber. But it was an assassination. Flat out and simple. They're going after the leadership. It's like over in Iran, where all the nuclear scientists are being assassinated. That's what's going on here. Now, the French foreign minister has been accused of falsifying reports on Syria to provoke the war, ignoring the reports from their own embassy. Everybody's lying to get this thing going. They need a major war so that you don't blame them for the economic disaster. We'll be back after station identification. See, what's going on here is the United States and Israel have hijacked the Arab Spring. Every place they want to overthrow, they'll claim the Arab Spring is starting and we must support them. But every place there's actually been a real Arab Spring, throwing off the foreign occupation, oh, they're bad people. We must go back in and settle things down. That's what's been going on in Iran all this time. Back in 1953, the Central Intelligence Agency overthrew the democratically elected government of Mohammad Mossadegh, because the United States only supports democracy when it's people that they like, who will do nice favors for the U.S. and U.S. corporations. So the U.S. imposed the Shah of Iran, who ruled until 1979 when the Iranian people said, to heck with this stuff, and they kicked out the Shah, and they elected their own government, which is what democracy is supposed to be. And the United States knows how to carry a grudge when they get kicked out of a nation they're occupying. I mean, look how long they've carried this grudge against Cuba. In the U.S. eyes, the Iranian Revolution was a hostile act. And ever since then, the U.S. tried to get Iraq to invade. That didn't work out. They tried to stage a coup d'etat 2 years ago. That didn't work out. So now they're back to saying, we have to invade Iran because they're doing something you won't like. And we'll make up our excuses afterwards so you can feel good about all the blood. And so basically that's what it is. It's the same model. The U.S. will go into a country, overthrow it, install a puppet government that loots that country's resources and wealth for the benefit of American corporations. And then the people will get fed up with it. They'll kick the U.S. out. And then the U.S. government stands around saying, they only hate us because we're free. No, they hate us because we've been screwing around with their country and we don't really have a moral right to do that. Now, things are not going well over in Israel. As you're probably already aware, the coalition government split after just 9 weeks, supposedly over this universal draft bill. I don't think that's it. I think what's going on is Mofaz and the Kadena government, the Kadena party rather, decided they don't want to have anything to do with this coming attack on Syria, Lebanon, Iran, whoever else Netanyahu wants to go after. And they're seeing an opportunity to isolate themselves politically from the wrath of the Israeli people, because there's a lot of protests going on in Israel right now. Netanyahu's going to go out and do the big mistake and start a war that the U.S. will have to finish. Israel will vote the current government out of power, and the Kadena party will move into power. I think that's what's going on over there. But it does give Benjamin Netanyahu a blank check to do what he wants to do between now and the next elections. Now, Israeli media, and let me stress up front, there is absolutely no confirmation on this story. But sources in Israel, as reported in Middle Eastern media, it's not here in the U.S. media, are reporting that somebody actually took a shot at Hillary Clinton's motorcade when she was driving around Jerusalem. So, for what it's worth. Now, the International Criminal Court is starting to make noise that they may, in fact, look into Israel's attack on the humanitarian aid flotilla heading for Gaza. Happened a couple of years ago where the Mavi Marmara and several other ships in international waters were attacked by Israel Israel tried to claim, oh, they attacked us. No, they didn't. It's the usual thing. They had it coming. They can't come up with a new excuse for any of this stuff. Anyway, there were 8 Turkish activists and 1 kid from New York were killed during the attack. The ICC has concluded 6 of the 9 killed were simply executed by the Israelis. They weren't fighting back. They were, in fact, we have video. The American kid, the kid from New York, the Israelis just put him on the deck and pumped bullets into his head. That's not defending yourself. That's not, under threat of immediate force. That's called summary execution. The mad dog approach. Israel has often said their attitude toward foreign policy in other countries is the mad dog approach, to constantly do things so shocking and horrible that nobody will dare interfere with them because of the overwhelming inappropriateness of the response that's going to be coming on. Now, as one of the callers said earlier, there has been a major bomb blast in Bulgaria that blew up a bus which had some Israeli tourists on it. Israel is already out there. John Bolton, who's Israel's puppet in the United States of America, are already out there screaming, Iran did it. Iran did it. How could they possibly know this soon after it happened? It's like when 9/11 happened and the buildings hadn't even collapsed yet. And the American media was saying, oh, yes, it's Osama bin Laden. It's those gosh darn Arab Muslims. We got to go after them. More false flags. They're desperate for this war. Can you see how desperate they are? The propaganda isn't being believed. That presumption of truthful honesty, accuracy that the media and the governments have relied on for all these decades of world conquest, it's gone. The U.S. government, and for that matter, the government of Israel, are having a credibility crisis of their own manufacture. Nobody believes anything they say anymore. Nobody takes anything they say at face value anymore. They're trying to find something that will get traction. And the tragedy is they're going to go on escalating these phony false flag attacks until they get something big enough where everybody say, oh, I don't dare take the chance that it's not what is being presented to me, which means a lot of people are going to die on this stuff. All right, so we're back here talking about false flags and this obvious push to start a war. And remember what I was saying yesterday? We're getting this constant drumbeat of how bad security at the Olympics is and how it's all falling apart. And this G4S security, which is very tied in with the government of Israel, they just completely messed up, and they don't have enough people, and the Army's stepping in, and now TSA is going to be grabbing crotches at Heathrow Airport. And now we're being told that FBI agents are on their way to London to boost security at the airports. Just days after the private security firm contracted by the British government said it couldn't provide the staff needed. Now, as I pointed out yesterday, if you are in charge of security for something, you don't make it public. You don't advertise the fact that there are holes in your shield. Unless you want the public to be told ahead of time, there are holes in the shield to explain away a false flag terror attack. Because if there is a big bang, or some nasty germs, let loose at the Olympics, the first thing the rest of the world is going to say, well, obviously this TSA doesn't work. This crotch groping and the cancer scanners and all the rest of it didn't protect us. Let's throw it all away and get our tourism back. So the security companies are out there trying to figure out a way that they can allow the false flag to happen and still go on getting all this money from you to see you naked and put their hands down the front of your pants and smash your laptops. Same thing that we saw when ICTS let the shoe bomber and the crotch bomber through their security. Oh, it was here. We just need more of it. Every time we fail, you got to give us more money. No, I don't think so. Let's not throw good money after bad. When there's a big bang at the Olympics, that'll be 3 strikes and you're out for all this security industrial complex. You failed, you failed, you failed, you failed, you failed. Take your ill-gotten gains and get the heck out of here. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And boy, I got to give CNN a hand for being the most industrious and dedicated liars on the corporate media. They are still pounding this issue about the bus bombing in Bulgaria and how it just had to be Iran. And they've gone from this one bombing where nobody really knows what's going on, and now they've got this terrorism expert saying this is part of an obvious ongoing campaign by Iran to attack Israeli targets and American targets. This is an ongoing big, huge program. They're trying to take this one event and use it to create this illusion that Iran is constantly running around the world killing people. You know, like their own nuclear scientists. That's probably what they're going to say. Oh, yes, Iran's killing its own nuclear scientists just to make Israel look bad. But they are pushing this just as hard as they can. And again, we're going to see this between now and the Olympics because Iran is the target. Iran is the prize on the other side of Syria. They're trying to get this thing going. It is a race to get this major escalation in World War III up there where everybody says, yeah, it's a world war now. Ain't it cool? All the war memorabilia companies are going to be just, yes, buy a new warehouse. But they're really pushing this whole thing, and they're trying to make it look like this is what Iran has been doing all along. No, it isn't. Iran minds its own business. It's the U.S. and Israel that are invading other countries and assassinating other people, and drone strikes all over the place. For all we know, this was another drone strike. I got a nasty email from somebody saying, how dare you suggest Israel would kill Jewish people just to make a political point? Well, folks, anybody who's leader of a country is generally willing to kill their own citizens just by sending them off to war. Roosevelt was willing to see Americans die on the attack on Pearl Harbor to get us into the war against Germany and then secondarily Japan. Heads of nation states, by definition, are willing to throw away the lives of their own citizens to get whatever it is they think they want. So that's just what's going on with that situation here. I want to give you all a heads up. We were talking about computers and computer viruses and the hackers and the scammers and the rest of it. And if you have not already got a top-notch security solution for your computer, you probably need to get one right now. I just got this, I've gotten several emails today that are obviously attempts to get me to click on a link I ought not to click on. And I just got one that says Delta Airlines, and it says your e-ticket is here, and it has information that somebody has bought an airline ticket for me to go from, well, that doesn't actually say the point of departure, which was the first giveaway something was crooked here. And then it says your destination is to Garden Grove. Well, I don't feel like going to Garden Grove. And sure enough, it turned out to have a virus inside. Those who are considering a false flag attack on the Olympics are going to have to find some way to shut down and paralyze the alternative media in order to make sure their propaganda is the only thing that's out there for people to look at. Remember back on 9/11, 3 days before, actually, I was corrected on that. A week before 9/11, the FBI was running all over the United States of America, shutting down the websites of Muslim charity organizations. Didn't have any reason, didn't have anything, just came and said, we've got a court order to shut you down, pull your server. So when 9/11 happened, there were no Muslim websites able to get out there and say, wait, we don't know that Muslims had anything to do with this, in order to, as Bush would say, catapult the propaganda forward. So if, in fact, there is a plan for a false flag attack at the London Olympics in order to escalate this into a truly recognizable world war with the chrome lettering on it and everything, then we can expect attacks against the alternative media and the blogs and the net itself to escalate from this point forward. So please be very careful. Never open an attachment from somebody you do not know. And even if you think it's somebody that you know, if it doesn't feel like their writing style, or if it doesn't make any sense, or if it's got a blank subject line, don't open it. Better safe than sorry. Because it's going to get ugly out there. This is the high ground in the war for the minds of America and the world. We're it. The revolution against the money junkie warhawks is here. It's virtual. It's in cyberspace. With luck, we'll keep it here, because then a lot less people die for it. And always remember, the other side loves to play dirty. They go around thinking that their willingness to lie, cheat, steal, and kill makes them superior human beings, and that, of course, is a lie. The willingness to lie, cheat, steal, and kill does not make you a superior human being. It makes you an ordinary human being who is willing to lie, cheat, steal, and kill. So you definitely want to be very much aware of that kind of situation going on.